This lesson is to review, excuse me, order of operations from last year. So our first example is a word problem, excuse me, and it says Ricardo went to Marble Slab ice cream store with 4 friends. He bought an ice cream cone for $2. So we always want to go and use our test taking strategies. Where's my there? Test taking strategies to underline important information. He bought an ice cream cone for $2. And his friends each bought a king-size sundae that cost $3 each. How many friends? He had 4. How much money should they pay the store clerk? So Ricardo bought a $2 ice cream, and that means addition. His 4 friends bought a $3 ice cream cone, $3 each. So this is a possible expression that we could write. We could have also just said 2 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 for the 4 friends. However, we are practicing order of operations, so I'm going to use this one. Our order of operations is GEMDAS, or you may have learned it as PEMDAS. But the G, or whatever the first letter is, stands for parentheses or grouping symbols. We do have a set of parentheses here, but there's nothing to do inside of them, so we move on to our next step. There are no exponents. There is multiplication. Now, multiplication and division gets done always from left to right. So from left to right, this is the first multiplication I hit. I always underline or circle or highlight my steps so that I can look back and follow my work later. So 2 plus 4 times 3 is 12. Then I have no division, so I am done with that. I'm going to start looking at addition and subtraction. And addition and subtraction is also done from left to right. So this is my next step, and that together gives me $14. Always remember your labels. The next problem is Ruby took her car to Rip You Off car repair shop. They told her it would cost $50 for the parts and $20 for each hour it takes to fix the car. It took 3 hours to fix the car. How much money does she owe the car mechanic? So one possible expression that we could use to represent this is $50 plus $20 times our labor. The mechanic told her that it was $210. And of course, Ruby said, "No way, sir, I passed 7th grade math." So her mistake, or the mechanic's mistake, was doing the addition before the multiplication and division. So what he should have done is 50 plus the 20 times 3 should have come first. So this would be an example of circling, which gives you 60. So after that, this is our next step. And the 50 plus 60 would be 110. So again, here's our pyramid, or some people just prefer to remember it in order like I wrote earlier. We are doing GEMDAS. The reason we changed it from G to P, if you're used to the PEMDAS instead, is that G stands for grouping symbols. So this first thing can be parentheses. It can be curly brackets. It could be absolute value symbols, which we'll talk about much later. And it could also be, what was the other one? Sorry, brackets. So instead of trying to say all of those things at once, we just say grouping symbols. Exponents, multiplication, division, of course, from left to right. Addition or subtraction, of course, from left to right. So as you can see, these still say PEMDAS, but we are going to use the G instead. Now, are there any grouping symbols in here? No. So I'm going to start with my exponent. Now remember that this means 3 times 3, not 3 times 2. So I always rewrite my expression. And 3 times 3 is 9. Now I'm looking for multiplication and division. I've got some right there. So 88 minus 6 plus 18 is my next step. Addition and subtraction, I also do from left to right. So 88 minus 6 is 82. One thing I would really watch for in here is integers. If this was reversed, you would have an integer as your answer, which would affect your next step. So be careful with that. 82 plus 18 is the last step, so that's going to give us 100. Next problem. We do have some exponents. It doesn't really matter what order you do them in this particular problem, but I always suggest if you have more than one of something, move from left to right. That way you don't forget. So I'm going to do 4 squared first, which remember is 4 times 4. And then I'm going to do 3 squared next, because I still have more exponents. Now notice I didn't start with those parentheses. That's because there's nothing inside there to simplify. So that's going to be 63 over 9. Multiplication and division from left to right. So I'm going to do this one first. It's 48. Here's my division. Remember that fraction bar does mean division. And then my last step is the addition, which is going to give me 5, carry my 1, that's going to be 55. Okay. Elena has 2 boxes that contain 24 straws each. So I'm going to underline that because that sounds like pretty important information. And 3 boxes that contain 15 cups each. Which expression cannot be used to find the total of number of items she has? So she's got 2 boxes of 24. Of means multiply, so that sounds okay. And, which means addition, she has 3 boxes of 15. So that one sounds good to me. I'm going to cross it off. 3 times 15 plus 2 times 24, all that is this over here, this over here, with a different multiplication symbol. Sounds good to me. 5 boxes of 24 plus 15. Well, if I do this first, 24 plus 15 is 39, and that means I have 5 boxes of 39. That doesn't really sound right to me, so I'm going to look at my next one. 3 boxes of 15, 2 boxes of 24. Sounds good. I think C is my answer. Another strategy you could use to solve this is you could actually follow order of operations and figure out what each of these equals. And the one that's different is the one that's wrong. So that concludes our review of order of operations today. Please make sure and complete the homework that is in your ISN.